Well, it's almost summertime, and that means it's time for me to take a look at this Vintage Air AC system in my Blazer that has never operated 100%. And I don't think this is an uncommon issue. Now, when I did the Vintage Air install kit on my C10 over there, it's having the same issues. And I did a deep dive in trying to solve what was going on with the C10, but I could never get it to work properly. So the issue is, after about an hour to an hour and a half of driving, the system cools intermittently. Now, it could be an internal or external freezing of the system. It could be there's not enough airflow getting through the condenser. It could be that the system gets overpressurized after it's being used for a while. And on the C10, I tried multiple things. I tried adjusting the amount of Freon and refrigerant in the system. I tried going with a smaller transmission cooler in front of the condenser, so not as much heat was getting to the condenser. I've tried wiring fans to kick on when I kick on my AC, and I just cannot get it to work right. So Vintage Air has an oversized condenser, and I'm gonna see if that is the issue with these systems, because when I look at a factory AC system from, let's say, GM, their condensers are pretty substantial. They're big, and the one in the dually is a pretty good size. But the ones that come with these Vintage Air kits are relatively small. So fingers crossed, I'm really hoping that's the issue. The thing is, it doesn't really fit in the front area here. So we're gonna have to figure out how to make all this work. Oh yeah, and don't mind the different rims I got on the truck right now. I'm working on it. I know we'll talk about it later. What do you guys think of this engineered vintage aluminum fabricated grill? This whole thing is aluminum pieces that are TIG welded together. Check them out, engineeredvintage.com. They got some really killer, high quality parts for some trucks. Some of y'all have noticed my toxic trait, and that is I use crescent wrenches way too much. So maybe I should change the name of the channel to Crescent Wrench Garage. Oh my gosh. So I just also want to say this could be like a dozen different things. And I know I'm going to miss something, but I've even gone as far as contacting Vintage Air and working with their team to see if I could get any solution. And basically, once we couldn't come to a solution for the issue, they were like, I don't know what to tell you. So I was like, cool. Anyway, they did come out with a new generation of AC systems, so they're up to the Gen 5 now. Hoping that they address some of these issues, because again, I got a lot of people that I talk to that have these kits that drive their vehicles long distances say they have the same issue. Now, if you're just cruising around town, it's not a big deal and you'll never notice it. But if you take it, you know, on a 1,000-mile road trip, you might want AC. So anywho's, what do we got here? So we're gonna have to figure out how to mount this transmission cooler. Out of the way. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of mounting the transmission cooler right on top of the AC condenser. I like to have a little gap just so we get some more airflow, you know? Know what I'm saying, man? This one was right on there. AC is pretty important to me. So I have all the stuff that I need to recover the refrigerant and whatnot. But of course, if you're doing this, you got to run this to a shop, have them evacuate the system. Make sure you have no refrigerant left before you crack open any of these fittings. That's painless. closed. Okay. Okay. Oops. Just stripped down the original condenser, and let me show you how much bigger this one is. That is significantly bigger, and it's quite a bit thicker as well. Now you can start to get an idea on just how much bigger, also thicker, this new unit is. We are going to have some mounting challenges though. As you can see on this original one, it's got plenty of spots for you to mount stuff and hang brackets and whatnot off of, but this one there's nothing. There is nothing anywhere. There's just a couple of tabs to fasten it to the core support, but other than that, you're pretty much on your own. Let's see what she looks like in here. Okay. Can't reuse the steel lines. Doesn't really hit anything that we could mount to. It's going to take some imagination and fabrication to get this thing put up in here. Just got back from the store, had to go pick up a couple things to mount this new condenser and to mount the transmission cooler. I also ordered some parts from Summit Racing because I'm going to make some new AC lines. I can't reuse the hard lines that I have, so I'll let you know when those come in because we're going to make new lines. But check this out. So I got my condenser in right here. Now if I split the difference, I'm able to hook up my lines over here. I am going to reuse one hard line. Now this one is for the dryer, which I ordered a new dryer as well. So that'll go on down there. The new dryer will hook up here. Then you'll have a soft line that goes to the dryer. So that's going to be mounted right there. Don't know how I'm going to secure that yet. Still got to work out some details. But for the condenser, I went to the parts store. I got some angle brackets, cut these up, and I think what I'm going to do, let's see, where can I show you guys? Is I still got to cut this down to fit, but the idea is gonna attach the bracket wherever it needs to be attached, right? I think I'm just gonna rivet this on, and then this bracket will bolt into the radiator support. Now there's a brace right here and a brace right here. I'll have to do a little cut up top because my new fitting is going to be straight. And now that I'm looking at that, it's going to be close. It might be I might have needed to order a 45. I should have probably looked at that a little closer. There's not a lot of flex with these lines. We'll figure that out when we get there. But anyway, so I got to mark out where these angle brackets are going to go. These are just going to bolt to the radiator support, and then this will be riveted onto those brackets. And for the transmission cooler, I still want it to be in the middle, but I don't want it to be mounted to the condenser. So I got these long pieces of aluminum. I'll back you up here. So what I'm thinking is I'll bend this at a 90, and then I'll bend this side at a 90. So this will kind of be like it'll just go right around the edge of the outside of this core support. So I'll bolt it to that, and then I'll attach the transmission cooler to this with probably some expansion nuts. So, all right, let's get to marking this stuff up. Got my brackets mounted in here. Thought I was gonna rivet the condenser in, but there's a lip right here. So because these brackets would be all the way to the edge of the supports here, wouldn't be able to pull it out. So gonna use these expansion nuts to install this instead of the rivets. This will probably be better anyway. I already got my hole drilled. You just install it in there, and when you run in your screw, it squeezes it and gives you a nice little mounting surface there. All right. Oops. All right, it's kind of like what I was thinking. I got to do the bottom ones and then come in here. Where are we at with our? Awesome, so we're just far enough away. Bent up this aluminum bracket here, stuck the ends in my bench vise that's not connected to my bench and bent them over. And what I'm gonna do is utilize the mounting screws for the L brackets for the condenser. So this will slide over and I'll be able to just fasten a nylock nut right there. Looks nice and neat in here, but we got an issue. It's a little floppy McGooberson. No worries, I got a plan for that. So there is a core support brace that goes right here. So what I'm gonna do is zip tie the trans cooler right here with some rubber bumpers on the back side. So if it does bump into the top, it won't be marring up the surface of the condenser. And then down here, I'll do another zip tie into the center brace, so that'll hold everything nice and tight. And I'm thinking between these two up here and this one down here, we should be okay. We should be okay. Been wrong before though. All right, so we got that. So yeah, see, it's a little floppy. All right, first thing we're gonna do is put on this hard line. We're gonna reuse this one for the water separator. Now hear that? Probably won't, but listen. That little hiss, that means your system, that means the condenser was fully sealed. If you're getting new AC parts and they're not hissing when you take off the fittings, we got a problem. That means there's a leak. So the line fits, it comes out, but as it loops around, it kind of catches the edge of this. Yeah, I'll probably take just a little more. That's pretty dang near perfect right there. Ended up getting a new dryer too. This system was put together in 2016. So it's usually just good to go ahead and replace this if you open the AC system. I've got to figure out a way to secure this. The original condenser had a bracket and there were two clamps that held this on. So I definitely don't like that. I'm gonna figure out a way to secure this. Might do a nice little crisscross zip tie sauce right there. I actually got a straight fitting, but it came all the way into here and ran into this brace for the core support. So glad I had this 45 in the toolkit. It looks a little aggressive on the angle, but we might be able to get the hose to bend around. Or shoot, we might even just, I actually have a 90. I don't think that's gonna fit though. Because I was gonna say we could come down, come straight down, and go under. Let me put this fitting on too. I was originally thinking about going up like that. So you see this hole right here? This is where those other AC lines are. So they would come out and over and then hook up right here and then hook up right here. So this one looks like it would be good. Just bend it right here, but I don't know how tight I can bend those AC lines. See, it's going to be this line right here. That is not much movement in that. See, the thing is with these fittings too, you only get one shot. If you goof it up, you got to order new fittings. You can't reuse them because they're pressed on with a special hydraulic tool. We'll keep looking at this for a minute. Yep. Getting this mocked up here, so I just slid the rubber hoses into the fittings. I haven't connected them yet. Just trying to get an idea on how all this is gonna work out. My original thought was to come straight off of here, do a 45 here, and then this is where those fittings originally came through, so I had to buy like a bulkhead fitting. So I bought some 90s, and once you kind of get them where they're gonna be sitting, they don't work, which is not a surprise. So I'm gonna give myself a little more room. I think I'm gonna mount these down here so that these can come down and connect right into those. I think that is gonna be the ticket. So we'll have two fittings coming up like that. Both of these lines will be running through this way, and there's no kinks. Once we get it set, they're gonna not really be resting too hard on the body here, but we'll put some protection down just in case. I think it's time to start fitting these hoses. Well, these AC hoses have a natural kind of bow to it, as you can see. So this is gonna be the small line. This is a -6 and the other one's a -8 for anybody that's wondering. And these are called bead lock fittings. So you need a special tool. We'll show you that in a little bit to be able to apply these, install them on the hose. But once you're happy with how it's sitting, there's a little window right here. You want to make sure the hose is all the way to the end. It's also good practice to mark how deep it's supposed to go into the fitting. And then another mark you could make is you could clock the fitting. So it really probably won't matter for this one, but I do kind of want it to naturally go down, so I'm going to install it like this. So I'll just turn the fitting until it's lined up the way that I want. Just put a little mark there, and now we can install it. This is our hydraulic AC crimp tool. I actually use this for a couple of things. You could do some hydraulic line work. I've crimped some air lines with it. Pretty handy. It's got all these different die sizes for the various size fittings you can use. And ridiculously easy to operate. So we got our fitting clocked where we want it. Come on. We're gonna set it in the tool. And then we turn this to work and then just squeeze it. Ooh. We hit release. We got a crimped AC hose. It's pretty neat. Now this booger is not wanting to go on. I found a spot in the C10 frame, or the OBS frame, where I could kind of brace the fit and try to. You just don't want to go in there. Yeah, it was only in there that deep. It's just way too tight. I might have to shave this down a little. Been working this one. Oh, come on. It's already going on a lot better. Is that it? Yep. Heck yeah. So this fitting is going to be installed like this. Yeah, so it's going to naturally want to droop down to where the bulkhead fittings are going to be. There we go. It's another fitting done. Here's where these two fittings are going to go. So there's an existing hole right here, and then I'm going to mark and drill this one right here. So these will both be pointing straight up. Perfect. Oh, I'm hoping I could squeeze that in there. That ain't gonna happen though. I think we got our mark. We'll see, it's about right here. This one should slide right on. Yeah. Tie them together like that. Look at that. That's what we're gonna look like. Okie dokie. We'll get these crimped on and we'll start doing some final assembly here. Got a whole bunch of brand new O-rings here, and since I took this one out, I'm going to replace this O-ring. Go ahead and replace this one as well. Well, I was going to do the right thing and replace those Schrader valves because the system's already evacuated, but the 3 or 4 Schrader valve removal tools that I have aren't removing the Schrader valves. So another Amazon order's on the way. I got some new Schrader valves and as many different Schrader valve tools I could find. One of them's bound to work. Awesome. All right, so this will be tight down here and it does not hit. Well, it does a little. Maybe that's just what I should have done to begin with. Well, we wouldn't have been able to brace this right here. Oh yeah, also I hung the dryer. A couple of zip ties. Seems to be the theme of this install. Custom. Well, it's just a great day to work outside. It's supposed to be raining all day, which is awesome. Ended up getting the right tools to make this happen. Get these Schrader valves out. So another thing you got to worry about when you're doing this AC work is if you got the right amount of oil in the system. It's usually recommended that when you replace any major components that you have to re-oil or add oil. So the condenser, they recommend that you add an ounce at least of oil. So Vintage Air is great when it comes to installation instructions. Vintage Air is not so great when it comes to the information that you need to know when you're servicing your AC system. Like for example, they don't have a clear-cut oil that they recommend you add to the system. So what I found was most of these Sandin compressors, they usually use a Sandin SD7. Those usually come with an ester called SP15, which most AC systems use PAG oil, polyalkylene glycol. Yep. And PAG 46 is the equivalent of SP10 and PAG 100 is the equivalent of SP20. So SP15 is kind of in the middle. From what I've read, you could use PAG 100, which is what I have here, and it'll mix just fine with that SP15 that's in the compressor. I also just added half an ounce of oil to this. No oil came out of the system, no oil came out of the dryer, no oil came out of the condenser. So I don't want to sit here and add, 2-3 ounces of oil because you don't really need that much oil in the system. And the fact that I didn't open up the compressor and I haven't really taken anything else off, I think I'll just add a little bit and see how that performs. But again, if you don't have enough oil, you could burn your compressor out. But if you have too much oil, you could affect the performance of the AC system. So if you want to be 100% sure, you have to fully evacuate the system and put the proper amount of oil in. Now this part's gonna suck. We're gonna vacuum the system and we're gonna see if there are any leaks in any of the work that we've done, and if there are, hopefully we can find it. So basically we're gonna hook this up, suck it down, and let it sit for about 30-45 minutes. Turn this on. Now we're gonna open. So you see here, we're all the way down on our gauge. So we're at -30 for our vacuum. So I'm gonna let this sit for a while, about 30 minutes, and come back and see if we've lost any vacuum. Let's talk about these wheels. This looks kind of funny here. So these are the US mags I had on this truck for a while. Then I upgraded to these Corsart Kingpins, and they are awesome. I love the way they look. Modernizes the look of the truck. Handles great. But had a little issue with this one up here. So I got the rest of my US Mag C10s right there we're about to throw on. And here's the culprit. So if you guys and gals remember, about a month or so ago, I had a little oopsie on the side of an interstate, 1 o'clock in the morning. Had to change the old tire out. I've had multiple people offer to buy this set of tires off me, and I said, nope, you know what? One day I'm gonna need them. And today is that day. This one got me out of a jam in the middle of Alabama. And these are gonna get me on the GM tailgate tour if the AC system checks out, because I'm not taking this on the tailgate tour if the AC isn't at least working at like 80%. Oh, brings back the memories with those wheels. All right, it's been about 30 to 35 minutes. Where are we at here? In the exact same spot. That's perfect. So the next step would be to run this pump for about 45 minutes to evacuate all of the air and moisture out of the system. And then once that is complete, then you can start adding the refrigerant. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on this pump and let it run for a while and check back with you guys in a little bit. All right, now we can add our refrigerant here. So first thing I want to do is purge the air that's in this yellow line. So there's a purge valve on top of your manifold, where there should be. You could also unscrew this if you wanted to. So that just got rid of all the air in the line. But I like to take a screwdriver or something, and so that's all purged. And before we run anything at all, this is the air's out of here, and from here is under a vacuum. So we're going to slowly open our low pressure side, and we have a sight window here. We could see our refrigerant going in. Now the specifications for this vintage air system is 1.8 pounds or 28.8 ounces of refrigerant. So each can has 12 ounces of refrigerant, so you need 2 full cans plus another 4.8 ounces. Now the system's only gonna pressurize to what the can will allow, and once it equals out, we're gonna have to fire up the system and turn on the AC. Which this one might have taken the whole thing. Now before we disconnect the can, we gotta close our valve here, because we don't want to introduce any air into our system. And when we disconnect this can, all the refrigerant that's in this line is gonna come out. All right. Next can. All right, let's purge our line. Woo, that's cold. We're gonna open her up. All right, it's pretty much stopped, so I'm gonna fire the truck up, turn on the AC. Now I'm thinking, I still haven't added the other 4.8 ounces. I'm waiting on Lauren to get here with some batteries so I can use my scale. But I'm thinking maybe because the condenser's a little bigger, I'm gonna have to add more refrigerant than what's recommended. Because right now our pressures are right at 25 and about 75 on the high side. And vintage air, their recommended pressures are really low, so they want the low side to be between 6 and 18 PSI, which is abnormally low for an AC system. Normally it's supposed to be around 30. And then the high side, you do a calculation, it's the high side times double the ambient temp plus 15 or 20%. So right now the high side should be about 160. And again, well, now it's sneaking up to about 90. And two, when you're checking this, the RPM should be about where you're cruising at. So I'll pump it up to about 2,000 RPM and see what that looks like. The AC compressor hasn't shut off yet. So I'm thinking this air blowing over is helping the condenser. All right, look at that. I don't think this truck's ever been in the green. So I'm wondering if that was really the issue, if the condenser was just too small for the truck. Again, it's not really hot out right now, and I'm just sitting in the driveway. I'm gonna do a road test to see, but I think the real test is gonna be in the middle of the summer when it's 150 degrees outside and we're trying to keep this thing cool. Right now it feels great. All right, so I got my scale here. Battery's about to die. This is a can I have. It's got a little bit in it. So if I take it, zero out the scale, each can weighs about 3.7 ounces empty. This one's about 5.6, so I got about 2 ounces in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, and then I'll need another about 3 ounces to finish topping off the system. Don't breathe that in. So look, so now I zeroed this out. I'm gonna open we want to get to negative 3 ounces. Oh, okay, we good? 3.1 it says, 3.2. I'll take it. All right. So we should be properly charged. I mean, we're like 40 degrees. Well, I think the only thing left to do is test drive this thing. So I gotta run to Daytona to grab a few things. We'll see if it works. Took about 10 minutes for it to cool down, but we're not too far into the drive. We're still in that green zone from the thermometer. About to get on the interstate, and we'll be on the interstate for about 15 minutes. So we'll see what happens there. But so far so good. I just kind of wish it was a little hotter and sunnier today to get a proper test. But it's running strong right now. Just pulled up to Daytona. Been driving this thing for a solid 30 minutes and sitting in this parking spot shooting this outro video. Check this out. This AC has not left the green area since we got it cooled down. It's so cold in this Blazer right now that my joints are literally in pain. And I want to turn the AC off so bad, but I want to make sure that it works. I wish the sun was out today. I wish it was hotter so I could give it a more proper shakedown. But I think this has passed the very first test. But did I fix the problem? I have no idea yet. I still have to put the miles on this truck. I gotta have it on the road for a few hours. I gotta have it in the sun. I gotta have it in the heat. But this is already performing significantly better than it ever has. So if you're having issues with your vintage air system, it's doing that intermittent cooling after driving for a while, you might want to consider upgrading to that oversized condenser. And now that I think I have this fixed, I'm going to take this truck on the GM tailgate tour. It's essentially the very first power tour for GM trucks. We're going from Tennessee down into Mississippi, back up into Tennessee. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a week-long adventure. I'm starting that on Monday. So got this one fixed right on time because it's the weekend before and I leave in a couple of days for Nashville. But anyway, guys and gals, if you enjoyed watching this video, why don't you watch this one over here? If you want to see some of my show coverage, you can check this one out over here. Or hey, if you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. But as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I gotta get out of here, it is cold.